now we turn our attention to the Democratic Party. Of course, their allies in the media mob, nothing but an extension of the press office of the DNC. Now, remember, first it was Russia, Russia, then it's Stormy, Stormy, and then it was impeach, impeach, asshole, asshole, Russia, 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 racist, racist. All right, so while the hysteria shifted, the goal remained unchanged. Smear, slander, besmirch, destroy, bludgeon the Trump presidency. Unfortunately for them, all the previous narratives ended in failure. So now they're trying something new, and they're even telling us what they're doing, led by the New York Times. After first dedicating their entire newsroom, as they say, to the Russian lie, conspiracy, and hoax, well, now the New York Times is shifting their efforts to paint Trump and everyone in his orbit, every Republican, every conservative, is a racist. Of course, this is not a revolutionary concept. I've been telling you, and I've chronicled on this program for years, every 2 and 4 years, the left in this country will accuse Republicans, conservatives of being racist, sexist, misogynist, homophobic, xenophobic, Islamophobic. They want to kill children. They want dirty air and water. And then they want grandma and grandpa to eat dog food or cat food and then throw them over a cliff. And as we speak, Democrats around the country, they are already breathlessly accusing Trump of bigotry, racism, even anti-Semitism. The biggest ally in history for Israel is Donald J. Trump. Now, these phony charges are coming from the very same Democratic Party that is the home to two of the most virulent anti-Semites to ever hold public office. That would be Congresswoman Tlaib and Congresswoman Omar, who are obsessed with hating Israel. They both supported the anti-Semitic BDS movement, a boycott of Israel. They've compared a boycott of Israel to a boycott of Nazi Germany. They both need an education about the horrors of what happened in the Holocaust and what happened in those concentration camps. They both shared this anti-Semitic content on social media, including that cartoon from a Holocaust denier. Came in second in an Iranian Holocaust denying contest. Believe it or not, it existed. They were both also blocked from entering Israel on a trip planned by what was a radical Islamic group that praised suicide bombers. And Congresswoman Omar claimed that lawmakers were controlled by, quote, Jewish money, all about the Benjamins, baby. She also tweeted, quote, Israel has hypnotized the world. May Allah awaken the people and help them see the evil doings of Israel. Comparing Israel to Nazi Germany? Wow. And Congresswoman Tlaib actually wrote for the biggest anti-Semite in the country's newspaper, Louis Farrakhan's anti-Semitic racist newspaper. And to top it all off, they are both good friends with the vile activist Linda Sarsour. Remember, she's the one that supports Sharia law and blamed her bad reputation on the Jewish media. So tonight, a simple question to all the Democrats, all of you in the media mob accusing Trump of anti-Semitism. You know, the guy that recognized the sovereignty of the Golan Heights after so many other presidents promised to move the embassy to Jerusalem. That Donald Trump, you're accusing him of anti-Semitism. Where is your widespread condemnation of these two congresswomen? Oh, that's right. The left's accusations against Trump. Well, it matters if he does it. On the other side, that's selective, fake, phony outrage, like Hillary Clinton. If she aligns herself with Russian lies to impact an election, that's fine. If she obstructs justice, that's fine. Just like, oh, bludgeon Kavanaugh to hurt Trump, but don't even talk about the lieutenant governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia. It's a shameful display of hypocrisy and a double standard. Now, just today, an editor for the New York Times, he was forced to apologize for tweets that he had sent out in the past that were anti-Semitic and racist. And in April, don't forget, the Times was forced to apologize for publishing a horrible anti-Semitic cartoon picturing Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as Trump's seeing eye dog. Do as I say, not as I do. Pretty common on the left. For example, we just learned that many 2020 Democrats who called for a boycott of Uber and Lyft, they spend hundreds of dollars on these very same car services, even on the day they proposed the boycott. Wow. Now, today, by the way, the most insane development in the 2020 race, well, that came from Bernie Sanders, the angry socialist himself, because a few hours ago, he officially unveiled his version of the Green New Deal, and the contents are pretty much what you'd expect from a 77-year-old angry socialist who had his honeymoon in the Soviet Union. No more oil and gas by 2030. The lifeblood of our economy gone. Magic planes that don't emit carbon. And by the way, an end to all unemployment. Guaranteed jobs. okay, and the wish list goes on and on. So does the bill, how does that get paid for? Okay, brace yourselves. It's $16.3 trillion with a T dollars. The entire federal budget is $4 trillion. But get this, Sanders claims the plan's going to pay for itself through taxes on oil and gas companies, reduced military spending, and a vague promise of making corporations pay their fair share. Can I just put this in context? Because in 2018, American oil companies made a profit of $28 billion a year. A lot of money, but the entire budget for the U.S. military is less than $1 trillion. If you do some basic, simple math, you'll find out that Bernie is about, $14 trillion short of his goal. And guess who's going to pick up the bill? He says, he's going to tax the oil and gas companies. Corporations don't pay taxes. They pass it on to us, we, the American people. And if Bernie Sanders becomes your president, well, your income will virtually disappear. And so will the American economy. It will dive into a depression, probably immediately, if we get rid of oil and gas. And if Elizabeth Warren gets her way, well, the money you saved up in the bank, that's also going to be subject to a government confiscation tax. They call it the wealth tax. They've already taxed you, and if you're stupid enough to save any money, or lucky enough, they go on another bite out of the apple called the wealth tax. And then when you die, they're even going to take more, 40%, whatever's left. And let's not forget about Comrade de Blasio, the mayor of New York. While homeless Americans line the streets all over this country, de Blasio is now dedicating public resources in New York to make sure illegal immigrants can access public housing in his city. This all comes as creepy, crazy, sleepy Uncle Joe Biden barely can draw a crowd on the campaign trail. Even the New York Times took notice of this lack of enthusiasm on the ground. And so far, without a doubt, the big winner in the Democratic primary, I would say tonight, is President Donald Trump.